Many people believe that it requires a lot of money to live your dream. I believe it requires imagination, enthusiasm, and a willingness to take a chance on yourself.
I was born into a poor farming family right after World War II. My father was a farmer, and he also drove trucks for the county. We didn't have a lot, but we had a lot of hard work, and we discovered that working as a family was very fulfilling. It could be fun, and it really brought us together as a family like nothing else can do. When I was 11, the unexpected death of my father changed my life in ways that I could never have projected at the time. Somehow through my high school years, I arrived at the thought that my only direction in life had to be the military. So after graduation from high school, I joined the United States Navy. Nine years in the Vietnam-era Navy took a toll on me. The 9 years in the Navy took away my wife and my first child. But these are not the memories that I want to dwell on with you. The particular part of my life that I wish to share starts in 1979, when I was 33 years old. I was single, and I was searching for a kind of life that would be fun and challenging, one that would offer a lot of personal freedom. I was in the process of leaving Southern California, the aerospace industry. I'd sold my home, and I was headed for Arizona, where I figured I'd build my own home using my own hands. And it didn't matter that I knew nothing about construction. I had a dream. Upon arrival in Tucson, I immediately started work with my friend Jack Prohaska. We began putting together a glass art studio based around the ability to bevel glass. We didn't know how to bevel glass, but we taught ourselves. We built our own equipment, and we grew on each other's excitement and knowledge. It was fun. We called ourselves Sunset Bevels. It took a little trial and error and not a small amount of hard work to simultaneously start a new business and build the studio to house that business, plus the living space for myself. And we had to teach ourselves the almost lost art of hand beveling glass. Glass beveling requires a high degree of eye-hand coordination, and right from the start, Jack and I opted for quality over quantity. Glass beveling is a dirty, noisy, messy operation. Initially, our studio work consisted of repair and restoration mostly. Now and then we'd get a commission for new construction, and we struggled with the designing. A time or two we hired an artist to do the designing and patterning for us. That wasn't real fulfilling. Months passed, a year or two went by, and then in November of 1981, my life changed forever. Jeannie Aspen walked through the studio door and sort of stayed. We've joked about that for the last 35 years now. Jeannie is an artist, an exceptional artist, and she agreed to be the artist for Jack and I. And with her arrival, it opened the door for us to start looking for the large church commissions.
The co-creation together was a great deal of fun for us. The foundation of our relationship was exploring the world and creating things together.
Jeannie became our artist, and we had a wonderful division of labor. We worked to our individual strengths. Jeannie would do the designing, the patterning, the glass selection. Jack and I would cut and lead and bevel and build the panels and do the installation.
One of the fun things that we were able to incorporate in our artwork was etching into glass. We took it to a level that we haven't seen elsewhere, and many people wondered that people today will look and say, how did you do that? It was painstakingly slow. We masked off the glass with basically shelf paper and then cut out the areas with an X-Acto knife that were to be etched. And then one layer at a time moved into the glass, thinking of it in reverse, because the area you're going to see is on the opposite side of the glass. So the deeper pieces are the ones that are closest to you.
In the years that followed, we had commissions from the St. Mark's Methodist Church, the Catalina United Methodist Church, the Safford First United Methodist Church, and the Desert Hills Lutheran Church in Green Valley. All the while we were doing these commissions in glass, the studio was growing. In June of 1983, Jack and I dissolved our partnership. He went on to be a counselor, and Jeannie and I formed Aspen-Irons Art. Jeannie and I signed and numbered every piece of our work, and we strived for uniqueness and originality. February 25th, 1986. Our son Lucas Foster Irons was born. I was 40. We raised our boy in a glass studio surrounded by the beautiful desert, the flowers, the animals, the clean, fresh air, and the freedom. Jeannie and I sought out challenging jobs, and we thrived on them. We encouraged each other to always do more, do better, push the barriers. November 1981, Jean Aspen called and said she wanted to bring a piece of glass out to the studio to have it beveled. We didn't know it had already been etched, sandblasted with a beautiful, beautiful piece of work. 3 dolphins coming out of a wave, but we told her that we couldn't guarantee that it wouldn't break in the beveling, and she was willing to take that chance. So we spent the next 5 or 6 hours beveling that glass. And she walked around and pointed out the flaws in the studio.
And he pointed out the flaws in my glass. I was chintzy and, and poor. And I had dug the glass out of a scrap pile in a dumpster in back of one of the big glass places. And I thought, oh, this is good enough. I can make this work. But I didn't know that plate glass scratches, so there were scratches in it.
Yeah.
Jack and Tom were not artists. They were very good craftsmen. Their ability to create glass was way surpassed mine. It always did. Tom in particular told me once that he felt like it came from another lifetime. I could throw him anything and he would create it. It was a remarkable partnership we formed. He could make glass do things that no one else seemed to be able to do. I one time asked him, he cut a circle in a piece of plate glass and he beveled it inside and out. And then I asked him to build a little panel inside of it. I often would throw him curves that were really hard, and many people would take a glass saw or something, and he would cut them by hand. He was very good at it. Together, we were able to do things neither one of us could do.
When she walked in the door, we had a pattern on the table that we had paid another artist to provide for us, and it was supposed to be a red-tailed hawk. When Jeannie looked at it, she asked if it was supposed to be a seagull or an owl. She couldn't tell.
Yeah.
And we said, look, if you can do any better, there's the pencil. And she did. In about 20 minutes, she had the most beautiful red-tailed hawk. And we said, hey, you want to be our subcontracted artist? We were real clear immediately that with her, we could do a whole lot more and bigger and better.
Another piece I added to it was I had taken scientific illustration. I had a good feeling for how to sell. I was not well known. I didn't have any of myself out there, but I knew the techniques of it. And I started with using their portfolio and pulling together their past pictures, the few pieces that I had designed with my sister, and putting them in a portfolio and driving around Tucson and showing them to architects. It just began to put us out there, and it was the beginning of a different level of operating. It didn't happen fast. It was very slow and tedious. I drove around town in my little, $2,000 used Honda with the windows down and the wind roaring through my hair in Tucson, and ultimately it began to pay off.
We would send her out with our portfolio wearing a pair of shorts, and she could get into any of the offices of all those important men where I couldn't go. Probably the most challenging were the church commissions. And the most challenging was probably the very first commission that we got that opened the door for us to do church commissions.
You want to have a neck too, Tom?
Getting to do a church commission has a catch-22 involved, because if you haven't done one, the churches won't consider you for doing theirs. We kind of got in the back door by doing a hospital chapel window. And that window was 19 feet tall and 16 feet wide, the Tucson Medical Center Chapel.
27 panels?
27 large panels, many of them curved. Jeannie spent 4 days in California hand selecting 1.5 tons of glass. Most of it was European in origin, and much of it was hand blown. By the time she was finished purchasing, we had 52 colors, textures, manufacturers, and styles of glass to deal with. Many of those colors ran from one side of that panel to the other.
And a hand-blown glass often will vary in color from one side of the piece of glass to the other because it's a different density of glass. So it was a fun and very intense time. I think we put 1,000 hours.
1,153 hours we put into that project.
Yeah.
And we had a number of other church commissions that took about the same amount of time over the years.
For 26 years, we lived in our glass studio in harmony with the animals. We planted trees. We continued to make it a prettier place. We loved the desert, and in turn it loved us and filled us with joy and gratitude. All of this we expressed in our art. When is enough enough? Glass art is what we did, but it was not us. Life offers so many choices. It's a smorgasbord, and we've always believed that no one should just stick to the mashed potatoes. In May of 2005, we sold our home and studio. We left Arizona. We went on the road. We said yes to another adventure.
Life is a personal creation of art. We only have this opportunity now to make a statement, to step out, to do the things that draw our hearts. We lose it if we don't take it. It's not rewindable.
Although Jeannie and I left Tucson, much of our glasswork remains. And it is my most sincere hope that it speaks to people of all ages, all walks of life, all religions. And I hope that it gives them a sense of beauty, of hope, a sense of encouragement.
I'm very glad that Tom and I went for it, followed our hearts, lived authentic lives even when they were impractical, followed our dreams. The glass served us for a long time, and then we found other dreams that called us away, that called us north, back to my old life in the wilderness.
If I had the chance to speak to young people, I would say, believe in yourself, believe in your abilities, and don't allow the fear of failure to stop you. Say yes to life.
Yeah, it is you and me.
Yeah, you and me, kid.